Cancers, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for August 29th through the 4th of September, 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Cancer, very important week here in the astrology. We've got a solar eclipse taking place, as well as Mercury going retrograde and making a few aspects. But the emphasis is certainly on the solar eclipse, which is happening in your second house. So this is the house of your resources, resources both inner and outer. So on an outer sense, it's your finances, perhaps your assets, money, the income that you derive, and even your self-reliance. It's particularly the personal side of the finances. Then on the inner side, this is about cultivating your sense of self-worth, your self-reliance when it's about you achieving and cultivating your values in life, and even tapping into your natural gifts and natural abilities right now, which are really the things, the resources that we have in order to attain those values in life. So as we approach this solar eclipse, which will be on Thursday, we will be in the balsamic phase, so it's a good time to reflect on things a bit, allow that lowering of energy time. Then around Thursday and onward, to start planting some new seeds with this. Maybe writing some things down, setting some intentions, seeing where things take you along that life journey going into the coming weeks and months. And that's really what it's all about with the eclipses, because they're associated with the nodes, and the nodes are all about the life path. And this has been that this year has been the shift of your life path to now cultivate these inner and outer resources for the next year and a half. So every time we have the solar eclipse, it's always this transformation, this change to the life journey, and it can be quite profound collectively. So for all of you, generally speaking, here relating to those values and resources. So with that in mind, we do have a T-square forming up with this solar eclipse. Very important to talk about here. This is collectively challenging, but this is about challenging ourselves, right? When we have squares like this, it's an excellent time to take action, to work on the personal and spiritual development. Now, the personal side to this is particularly with Saturn. This is Saturn squaring up to your second from your fifth. So this year, it's been important for you to take the patient approach when it comes to your self-expression, when it comes to the things that you enjoy in life or that are close to your heart. Saturn comes into this area, and it's usually an area that's more about fun and playfulness and creativity and all this lighter stuff, self-expression. Saturn comes in here and makes it quite serious. So if you've been feeling this sort of limitation with your self-expression and with your joys or interests and things like that, then it's a good time to challenge yourself, right? Limit yourself here. Discipline yourself to have disciplined self-expression, to have a long-term type of self-expression where you're looking down the road into the future, right? And through this hard work, this persistence and patience, and again, challenging yourself here, you'll find that it comes in time. And that's a great way of working with this, to challenge yourself both with disciplined self-expression, however that's manifesting for you personally, as well as disciplining yourself to cultivate these values and what actions you can take. The squares are about actions, but they're not easy. They require us to take initiative, and it could be uncomfortable oftentimes to take action, but I think it's very important that we do. And as a result, we're building things, and things can come in time there. So good there to, again, challenge ourselves with Saturn, and to spiritually challenge ourselves with Neptune. Saturn's been squaring up to Neptune. I've been talking about this uncertainty, this doubt perhaps about what we're building collectively this year, in our personal lives. But that's when the mind tries to get involved. If we try to figure it out, we try to see into the future, we try to focus on outcomes, for example, it creates the haze, it creates the confusion. So the key with Neptune is detachment, is surrender, and really acceptance, accepting things for how they are. And that's going to be very important with this eclipse. Now, this has been in your 8th house, which is about everything deeper in life. Beginnings and endings, life and death, transformation, deep psychological things, fears, traumas, all these things that are deeper and behind the veil. It's so important for all of you to have this acceptance of them, and that acceptance that life does change, right? There's beginnings and endings in all of this. And there is a transformation process, which is a spiritual process, right? Which is access to that present moment. So with that in mind, the South Node is here, and Neptune's been getting, or the South Node rather, has been getting very close to Neptune. So the key with this is that there's some old patterns here, likely for you Cancers collectively, relating to deep transformation, relating to healing, relating to these old traumas, these old fears that are no longer serving you. It's about breaking old cycles. It's about releasing these old energies that have to do with this deeper stuff in life. So if you're seeing that there might be an imbalance here, there might be an over extreme or even under extreme relating to this 8th house, it's good to bring extra attention to them. Those feelings, whatever it is, it's usually very unconscious with the South Node. Accept them as the second stage of the process, and then as a result, they naturally go, right? We're not pushing them away. They just naturally want to go in that way. So that's the spiritual process with this. And as you're releasing these old patterns about the deeper side of life, it's serving the foundation for you to then consciously orient towards the physical side of life, the material, right? Everything that Earth provides, right? Which is where the resources come from. And again, even those inner resources as well. So you can see that we really can't have one without the other, right? We do have to have this deeper understanding and deeper meaning in balance, right? Which is what this is all about, bringing this back into balance by letting go of any over extremes. And then once we have the balance here in this area, through the spiritual perspective of the deeper side of life, and even too shared resources. If some of you are experiencing this in a sense of shared resources or bonds or debts or things that are unhealthy that do have to do with other people's resources or some sort of shared situation, bringing balance to that as well. And what that'll do is serve the foundation for then you to cultivate your personal self-reliance in a healthy way, right? Because it's really this time now. It's been, roughly 16 years since you've had the North Node in this 2nd house, suggesting that it's now time to become more self-reliant, to bring more balance and harmony and really conscious energy to this physical area. All right, so that's the most important event this week. We do also have that Mercury going retrograde on Tuesday, leading up to that solar eclipse. So things are shifting here, and this has more to do with your communication. It's a bit of a different area of life. It could be associated with the eclipse, but generally the 3rd house is about your mind. Your perspective is changing. Maybe some things you're rehashing, rethinking that have to do with learning, or have to do with books, such as reading. Maybe some of you are writing. Maybe, it could be a good time to edit and sort of rework that kind of stuff. Could be social for some of you. If you've been feeling these past few weeks more of an emphasis on wanting to get involved in your community or with your peers in some sense. But generally what's happening is now with Mercury retrograde in your 3rd, it's good to see things in a different light, right? It's good to rework some of these things that maybe you have been learning or reading or getting involved with on that intellectual level. It's also a good time to learn a lot about how you're communicating, right? So over these next coming weeks, it's good to reflect on that. And I think around Tuesday there's this sort of pause here, and then as we go into the rest of the week, do some of that rethinking. Now, this is emphasized by both Venus and Jupiter, in fact, in this 3rd house. Right at the beginning of the week, Mercury is going to conjoin up to Venus before he goes retrograde. So this is accentuating the fact that there is enjoyments to be had here with intellectual stimulation, with communication, with perhaps some light socializing and exchanging in your life. So that could be activated on Monday and will be there all week. At the end of the week, after the eclipse, over the weekend or approaching the weekend, Mercury is going to go retrograde over Jupiter. And this is the second aspect with this, actually. So this is emphasizing that for the next year plus, you guys do have opportunities to read, to write, to communicate, really get into this intellectually stimulating part of our lives. So with that in mind, could be a good second half of the week for that, and really rethink what potentials you have to really get your foundations in order with learning, with your mind, with your perspective, and your view of life. All right, and it's very practical too. This is all about working with things on a very practical level, especially with Mercury here. All right, so those are the two events this week, solar eclipse and this Mercury retrograde with those conjunctions. But the most important certainly being this solar eclipse in your second house, new values, new sense of self-worth, new resources being cultivated in the coming weeks and months. A lot of this will be at its high points during the next eclipses, which will be the February, March time. But as we move towards that, it's good this week to set new intentions, plant new seeds, and really just be open and flexible to see what comes your way regarding these inner and outer resources. All right, so Cancers, hope you guys have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.